Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we're going to talk about The Expanse, Season 1, Episode 8. It's called Salvage. Full spoilers for the episode as always. This really, because we're doing the last two as a double finale.
Yeah,
And the end of this one really felt like, here's the ending to the penultimate episode.
it's like it feels like get ready for the end.
Yeah, it feels like the last two are going to be one great big story, given the way this one ends, and the way that the two core plot lines we've been following finally
Converged. Yeah,
converged and crossed over, and having Miller run into the Holden and the gang, just the way he did was really exciting, and I think that's one of the things I think I like the most about this show is the way it has been telling its story and the way that it has kind of went at a very steady pace, went through everything almost methodically, the way it's going through each beat
I
of the
agree.
story.
Yeah,
And at this point, them actually coming together is really exciting. It's like, oh crap, they're finally like he knows it's an alias and it's actually Julie, but they don't. And
it feels like a detective show almost, where
yeah,
we followed along all the clues. And it's like, okay, and here we are. Here's the answer.
yeah, it's exciting. I mean, we did get some. I mean, there's more questions to ask, of course, but we did get some answers.
We did.
One of the things that we assumed way back in episode 1 was wrong. It's
Mm.
actually this small ship, this small stealth ship that's on the rock that Julia was in the first episode. That opening scene was on this ship because we see the exact cell that she broke out of, and
Yeah.
we see the room where that glowing object was, which is at least confirmed to be a weapon of some
Yes.
kind. Whether or not it began as a weapon and became that is another question, I suppose. But at least the way it works just now, it is a highly contagious thing that feeds off energy.
Yeah.
Because what we get from this episode, and we'll talk about the actual going in and finding it, because I think that was all really well done. But we get that this thing is, it feeds off energy. So if there's any electricity, it'll flare it up. So even if you're infected, you'll actually be fine until the energy
Yeah.
gets to it, and then it comes out and kills you. And that seems to be what's happened to Julie. She's got off the shuttle, she's got to this Eros, and she's got to this motel, and it's in there that some energy's got to her, and it's flared
It's
up.
yeah. It's like she's tried to turn off the devices,
Yeah,
but no luck.
but no luck. So she's dead. I actually even like the way they handled that. The way that we thought she was probably dead most of the season, and then we get that one bit of hope. Oh, this shuttle came to Eros. She might be there.
Mm.
And it's like, oh, maybe she's alive. Oh, this could be. And then and you find her and she's dead. And I think it's perfect the way that. And this is the end of the episode, but it's perfect the way that it's Miller who leans in close and looks disappointed.
Yeah, I think it's so important that we learn that at the same time as him as well.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
there's so many shows that would have told us this information and then let us watch his reaction, but us experiencing it with him was far more powerful.
Yeah, because we were following him go into the room with everyone else. Like, they all experience it together. And of course, next episode, whether or not we get the scene where he explains it or not, it's another thing. It could just happen off camera, and that'd be fine, because we know all
'Cause
the
we knew it,
information.
yeah.
But he'll explain who she is and why he was looking for her, and that Leminski was an alias that she was using here.
Mm.
But no, his reaction, and it parallels lovely. It bookends the episode wonderfully when he arrives at the station, and he says to his cop friend who works there that he believes in her, and you get this
Yeah,
sense of hope that he's like finally doing something. So him finding it's just crushing, just
yeah,
crushing.
it's. I feel like it might make him spiral now because he lost his job over this, which was kind of his whole life from what we'd seen.
I think spiral, and or maybe either directly instead of spiraling, or at the end of spiraling, it'll motivate him to make his next thing, his next move, like
Mm.
whether or not he's going to dedicate himself to the cause, try and like join up with Holden in that, and try and stop whatever. I don't know, but like I feel like it'll be the motivator for him. I feel like, which is
Yeah,
the great thing about it, is that as good as the story's been in getting him there, it also feels like it's going to serve as a great motivation for whatever his character's going to do next, whatever his
it
season 2 story's going to be.
it does. It almost feels like this is only the start of his journey now. Like this was all a prologue getting him to this, and now it starts.
Well, I love the scene. I mean, they kept bringing up the hat because his cop friend, he brings up that it was his hat, and I forgot to mention in the last episode that great symbolic moment where he's leaving to go on the space shuttle, and he turns back and puts the hat in the hook, and he
Yeah,
leaves the hat behind. So just that nicely symbolic. Like he's leaving his whole life behind. And he's leaving his hat. It's actually really funny that it turns out that it belonged to someone else who already left.
yeah.
But That was a really nice little symbolic touch. But the way he meets the Mormon on the ship, and they have a little friendly debate about religion
Yeah.
and hope, and they're the Mormons are going out on this ship, the Nova, which we see in full in this episode is this giant
Yeah,
statue, all looking thing. It looks like a statue almost on the outside.
it does. Yeah.
And that's what's going to take them to this new world. And they don't even know if there's going to be anything there. And they talk about leaps of faith, which I actually really like. It's funny because as someone who is an atheist, I actually really like in shows and movies when people talk about faith. I think it serves story really well.
I do as well, and I think it's always, in my opinion at least, more interesting in a future society where we've gotten more advanced, we've traveled the stars, we've expanded to these other planets, and there's still faith that there's more.
Yeah.
And I always appreciate that in storytelling.
Yeah. Because for me, faith doesn't always have to be about religion. It doesn't have to be about God. One of my, and yes, I'm drawing up a Joss Whedon thing here, but one of my favourite interpretations of faith is in Serenity, which is the movie that wraps up Firefly. Shepard Book, the character, Mal says something to him about, you always bring up God or whatever, and Shepard Book responds, why is it every time I bring up faith you assume I'm talking about God? I always liked that response to it. I always thought that was and in stories, the idea of taking a leap of faith and believing in something, whether it be a better cause or a better whatever, to as a motivation, I always find that fascinating. So, I glanced over there and I've got the IMDb page up, and I almost said the wrong name. I almost said Philip, just because there was an actor at the bottom of the list that said Philip.
Oh, we nearly had another Willis moment there.
Yeah, I nearly had another Willis moment. Check out the outtake from 2 episodes ago if you want to know what that's all about. But yeah, so I think Miller's motivation, even for himself, is muddied. Like, he's not really sure who he is and what he wants to be, and that's why this clinging to hope with Julie and caring about this case is kind of like a character breakthrough for him. And I think that conversation at the start, and him not really being sure and debating it with them, and he's skeptical, certainly. He's kind of skeptical, and he's respectful about it. He doesn't insult the guy's beliefs or anything like that, but he does, if nothing's there, what?
It's a good-natured, genuine questioning.
Yeah. And even just something as simple that he's never been off the station, and he's actually kind of nervous about being in space.
Yeah.
Also really cool. It does, but at the same time you think, but you're on a space station, you're already in space. But I get it. I get the difference.
Yeah, like the guy that talks about the agoraphobia, because even on the space station, they're essentially underground. They don't see outside. It looks like they're just inside at all times, whereas you're on a spaceship, there's centimeters between you and nothingness.
Yeah, so I thought that was all great. His interaction with the crew at the end, where he's like, I don't give a damn what you do, but there's going to be more cops coming, so you better play it smart.
Yeah.
Which is the right response. I feel like they'll probably have more of a team up as they get to know each other, but I thought that all played well. So, going over to Holden and the crew. So we left at the end of the last episode with them finding the rock. At the start of this one, we find one of the stealth ships, and we realise this is probably the one that nuked the Cant.
Yeah.
And they go in and inspect it. All this is great, sci-fi, spooky, walking around the deserted ship, creeping around in the dark.
It's great.
It is great. I loved all of it.
It's so atmospheric, and you got the helmets with the lights, and it's just this is so good. I could watch this for 10 hours.
Yeah, wandering about in the dark with just the lights and the helmets lighting the way. Yeah, so it's all great. And even that the sound design they do, where there's no sound in space, but they do that kind of muffled thing as if they're hearing it through their helmets.
Yeah.
That kind of effect is really effective, and I like that they use it to build, because obviously this weapon, whatever it is, they see it, they don't know what it is. I like that when it does start to build up, they immediately go, wait, it must be feeding off everything was fine until we turned on the power, so we could look at the computers and whatnot.
Yeah.
So the idea that it taught us it in a very smart way, and it didn't just feel like a random, the thing's waking up for no reason because it's sentient or whatever. And they talk about, it almost felt like it was alive. That was one of the lines, and I like that as well. But
yeah,
I do like that there's a reason why it turned on. It wasn't just...
Yeah, and obviously it goes back to, we speculated a few episodes ago, maybe it was some sort of life. They mentioned bioweapon and the significance that would have that there is actual life out there. And then feeling here that it's alive, it's almost there.
A living organism. It feels kind of like the way it kills Julie, and the way it sort of actually infects her and and she takes it with her, does make it feel like a living virus rather than a beast or a being.
It feels like an infection almost.
Yeah, but maybe one that's more sentient than normal, like than we typically think of a virus.
Perhaps, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a sci-fi show. I'm going with the.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll get some answers on this.
I like how it glows though. I like how it sort of lights up because it feels kind of cool in sci-fi, but it's not too absurd. It's not ridiculous.
Yeah, and it almost feels like it's a survival mechanism as well. Like, oh, it's hidden, and then it like in hibernation almost.
Yeah, it feels fairly realistic in the sense that it reminds me of like like a jellyfish or something like that.
Yeah.
The way it lights up, it doesn't feel super ridiculous. Where I've got this crazy idea where it'll be.
And in a sense, the jellyfish analogy works because it's kind of similar to space. Deep in the ocean, there isn't any light.
Yeah, makes sense.
So it does work that there's some sort of similar parallels there.
And I think there's a couple of lines about how it might have caused like death at the Phoebe station before it left.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. But where did they get it from?
Yeah, where did they find it?
That's my question. Yeah, where did it come from? Where did they find it? Where, who wants it to be used for what? And that's another thing I really liked is as they get off the ship, they decide, no, let's nuke this thing, or not necessarily nuke it, but blow it up because.
Yeah.
We're here to find this person. As far as we're concerned, we never found this. Let's destroy it because no one should have this. It's too dangerous.
Yeah.
So they make that choice. Obviously, meanwhile, the spy guy's recording stuff, and he, of course, is the reason why there's people coming for them. If I have any complaints about the episode, honestly, my only one complaint is I think it was a little bit weird how it just cut to them being on Eros without them arriving.
Yeah, but I guess for me the point is that maybe they don't need to go through all this because we just had the stuff with the Martian ship in the episode before.
Oh, of course, and we've seen Miller arrive and we've seen him dock into the station. So it's not like there's anything missing in the sense of the logic of how it works. It's just I think because every step of their journey's been so hard, it just felt weird that it cut to it as if it was like that easy.
Yeah, I get that.
But that was the only thing. It was just when it cut to them already being on the station, I was like, oh, they're already here. Okay. But that'd be like it's a minor thing.
Yeah.
Another scene that I loved, maybe not the standouts, because them wandering about the ship in the dark was fantastic. The ending, finding Julie, fantastic, tense. But another great tense scene is when they're in the lobby of the hotel, and like Amos is noticing people coming in, and you're getting this kind of almost Tarantino-esque feeling of like half of these characters are either
it's
cops
like, like this is a sting or something like that.
Yeah, or it's hitmen or whatever. And like Amos is kind of sussing it, and they're noticing.
He just seems slowly pull down his zip. It's a really nice touch, I thought.
That sounded really dark out of context. He slowly pulled down his zip.
Look, out of context, admittedly, yes, but they were in jumpsuits. I don't think that there's just it's one zip.
Yeah. What did you think of like Miller like saving the day? Like he just comes out the corner. But the thing is, they set it up enough where we know he's going there. We've just found out in a previous scene that Leminski, and under that name, was at this hotel.
Yeah, that's the thing. If we hadn't had that, it would have felt like, okay, this is too coincidental.
Yeah.
But because we followed him on every step, getting the clues, him going there felt logical. It's just the timeline's a little bit coincidental. But again, because we followed it every step, it works.
Well, what was exciting about it is I could be wrong to say this, but I don't think we knew where Holden and the crew were going exactly until we see the door for the hotel. And we already, in the previous scene, we see that Miller's like, oh, they're going to the blue, whatever it was called, Blue Dolphin, maybe?
I can't remember.
Doesn't
Blue
matter.
something.
Yeah. So we know he's going there. So then we see them wandering through Eros, and they go, right, here we are, this is the last known location of Leminski. And it cuts to the opposite shot, and we see the sign saying that the hotel. I was like, oh, wait, that's where he's going. So you're kind of anticipating, you're waiting for him to show up, like, oh, they're going to cross paths.
Or yeah, it's like, is he already there?
Yeah.
Or, you just had like the time jumps of like them arriving there, so it wouldn't have been unheard of for him to have got there already. So you weren't entirely sure how it was going to play out, but it was in your mind.
Especially the way he ran off when he found out where she was.
Yeah,
he bolted out the scene.
He did.
Yeah, his friend was just like sitting there. I was like, I just bought you lunch. Come on, come back. What are you doing?
Yeah, pretty much.
No. But no, really genius to set up in that sense where we knew where all the plot threads were going, and we were expecting them to intersect, so we're waiting for him to show up. So the fact that he showed up and helped and stopped the gunfight was good stuff. And yeah, it ends on this big thing with them finding Julie, which again feels very climactic. in the sense that not only have both plot lines finally converged, this is the end of both plot lines in terms of what their mission was. He's found Julie, they've found Leminski.
Yeah, and now they've got to evaluate this weapon and decide to be proactive about what they do with it, this information now. What are they going to choose to do instead of going after one person?
Yeah, what is their action? Speaking of, a couple of small things, small by comparison. On Earth, Avasarala finds out the Martian ambassador committed suicide, which is really upsetting, and she does take it as a hit.
Yeah, and because obviously we'd got to know him a bit, and he seemed like a very genuine person.
He did. I think that's just a clear sign of how dark things are getting, how close we are to the brink of war, and where things are in the universe at this point. It just reaffirms all of that.
Yeah.
And that's the only scene we get with her on Earth, and we get a couple of scenes with Fred Johnson where we know that the ship, we know the UN has sent a Black Ops team to his station. That's fine. He knows it's coming. He knows he's got 2 days, so that's going to be something that goes down in the finale. Perfect sense. Counting down.
Yeah.
Great. Good sense of pacing and time there, where it's like counting down to this event. And the other thing that's going to make him know is that him and his technician are analysing data from the Martian ship, and they get some images of the stealth tech and the stealth ships, and like, well, this is the best. These are maybe the only images that anyone's ever seen of them, especially up this close, because
it's the drive cores, whatever they say, the signatures. It's like no one's got close enough to see those before that.
And they're talking about how they don't know who has it, whatever. But then, the last thing we see with them is she says, his assistant says, "You need to see this," and we see his reaction to whatever she's showing him, and we don't get to see it. Which says to me he either recognises something that tells him who's involved, or it's like an advancement beyond anything he could predict, like his wildest dreams. Like, there has to be, I'm thinking more recognition in some way, but
yeah, I mean, I think it's got a more significant meaning if it's recognition, because it's like, okay, this is something that people in general know about. It's not as secret in the shadows as we maybe thought, like out of nowhere. It's something that has perhaps been in the show the whole time. We just had no idea.
Yeah. It's exciting. Mystery about I think the mystery about, like, not only where this weapon came from, but just who this third party is. Because it doesn't. Because I think at first we were like, oh, it's like, you know, a higher up OPA faction that's got better.
Doesn't
tech.
Feel like that anymore.
It
now,
doesn't.
Does
No,
it?
It feels like a completely, you know, I guess fourth party, because we already have 3.
Yeah.
But it really feels like another entity, and it's really curious to see who it is, and I'm excited. I feel like that will probably be a big finale reveal before season 2. I think that's something that will, maybe not the full story, but I feel like we'll get a
tease at least.
A good tease about it, like who is this other party. Get into this 2-part finale, which of course we will be covering tomorrow. We'll be doing that as one big video, so you can look forward to that. Anything else you want to mention about this episode, though, before we wrap up?
Just a small little visual moment. It was, you know, when they fired the rocket on the ship at the rock. I thought it looked fantastic. Just kind of the way it drops out and like you get it to spin a little bit, and then it kicks in, because it's like okay, this is the direction.
Yeah, do you know what I like about that? I like how because it's almost just like a space shuttle itself. The way it has the little minor thrusters just to navigate
and then
it.
The rocket at the back.
Yeah, and then once it's pointing in the right direction, it fires off. Yeah, nice subtle little touch. Yeah, I liked all that. Even simple things like the spies like floating in his room. And then when he's asked to come, he pushes himself down to the floor and then clicks his heels. We've spoken about the mag books before, but it's just one of those little things. They work so well, and they make so much sense in the world that they're living in.
Yeah, and it's such second nature for them to use them or not use them, depending on how they feel. And it kind of, I feel like it's important there where it tells us, no, he didn't want to be on the ground. He didn't want to be connected. He kind of liked the idea of just floating.
So would that, to be fair.
Well, yeah, but it's perhaps like it's more almost relaxation. Almost, it's.
I think it would be
literal freedom, weightlessness.
I could, if I was in that situation, I can see myself putting on some nice relaxing music and just floating in the.
Yeah, and then it's like, okay, things have gone real. Let's come back down to earth, almost.
Yeah,
and get on with it.
Tap your heels twice to go home.
Exactly.
I really like this episode. This is maybe the best one since 4, and that's not to diss any of the other ones, but it's just.
It had such satisfying reveals to everything. All the converging paid off in such a good way, even without giving us that many answers of the overall mysteries.
It's because all the characters and the motivations make sense. I think like Holden and Nagata had a couple of cool little, just bonding moments as they were searching through the ship, and they were kind of joking and talking about past times. And she even brings up like, you picked now to get chatty.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, they're starting to feel like a real crew. I'm really starting to like the four. Amos is kind of the weird one because he's a bit hot-headed and he's being kind of sarcastic, but I feel like that's important because it's
He has that moment though when they're going through the motel and the door opens. It's a random person. He's like, nope, not them. Kind of relax. Don't shoot.
yeah.
It tells you that even though he is like, he can be hot-headed, it's more just focused. It's not unnecessary.
He's on edge. He's more on edge than he needs. Well, maybe not more than he needs to because they're in a pretty dire situation. But the way he almost shoots this innocent civilian when he obviously shouldn't be.
Yeah.
But and I'm liking the dynamic. I really like Alex, the pilot. I think he's really grown on me over the last couple of episodes.
He's got this kind of edge of humor to him. Which
it's not like,
kind of makes him stand out a little bit.
But it's not like super. I already brought up a Firefly moment. I'll bring up another one. It's not like Wash from Firefly, where I love Wash. Don't get me wrong, but he's like really funny a lot. Like, he's really
and that wouldn't fit in this group.
Whereas he's more.
It's like this dark sarcasm almost.
Yeah. But the way he kind of like he feels like he really trusts at least the rest of the crew. He feels like he's really on board with everything at this point. The way like Amos will say, yes, Skipper, to Holden in a really sarcastic way, as if, yeah, you think you're in charge. But when Alex says, yeah, Hoss, it sounds genuine. It sounds like, yeah, sure, buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
he's on board entirely.
Yeah, so, good little group dynamic going. If the spy gets his head blown off in the next episode, that's fine too. Don't mind.
Plus, be a nice, cool visual moment again.
Possibly.
Down for that.
Yeah, we've not had much gore since the decapitation.
That's all we need. That eye lens. Just need that to explode.
Yeah, and they know he hasn't now because they've seen the image.
Yeah.
Actually, this isn't a complaint so much because I can just kind of buy that they made a point of not being too super public, but Holden's face is kind of famous.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe a moment where someone like almost recognised him, but he covered up. He was wearing a hat. He was wearing the hat to obviously hide it.
I wonder if he's less famous on this station than Back on series, obviously, we saw it on series televised with Remember the Can.
Because obviously Miller recognises him immediately, which makes sense.
Which I'm wondering maybe if it was just big on series because that's where they were headed. That's where it was having the direct effect and impact.
True, that was a station that lost water because of that. Yeah.
Whereas out here, maybe it just kind of didn't really reach the same level. It was just like a side news story, but it's not the major thing.
Yeah, that makes some sense. So I'm looking forward to the finale tomorrow. Double finale. I'm excited.
Oh, definitely.
And I'm glad that I only have to wait a few weeks after that until season 2.
Oh yeah, it'll be a nice quick wait.
Yep. None of this year-long bollocks straight into season 2.
Screw you all who had to wait. We made the right choice. No, we didn't.
No, we didn't. No, I wish I watched this last year. I really did.
Yeah.
But super excited. So that has been episode 8 of The Expanse. Let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. Like and subscribe and all that stuff. It helps us out a lot. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and we'll see you for the finale tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.